Hello and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, where we help dads create a healthier and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval. I am your host. So pleased to have you here today. And we're going to be talking about a topic that I get just a ton of questions about, particularly for those men that are already through their divorce now and have done hopefully some of the work and are looking to start dating again or are dating again. And that topic is how to date with kids in the picture. So my guest is going to give us some fantastic information. But before I introduce her, I do just want to give you a quick show note. We still got the divorce quiz up on the website. And I've just had a ton of people going through it, been having a lot of conversations about it. It's a fantastic tool to gauge where you're at in the process, whether you're in the middle of it or just post-divorce compared to other people who have gone through divorce. So it's great. It's about 100 questions. It's going to take 10 or 15 minutes, and it's going to give you a real good indication of where you're at. And if you go through it, we can sit down, we can talk about it for a little bit to interpret those results. So take advantage of it. It's really cool. It's at thedivorcedadvocate.com. Click on the divorce quiz. So my guest today, I'm very excited to talk about. She's a fellow coach. She's an international dating and relationship coach who supports men just like you to attract and keep healthy, loving relationships. That's why she's going to help us out with how to date with kids, which I know from experience is a challenge. She has thousands of hours of direct, intimate work with men on confidence, dating, and relationships, and brings a mastery of coaching, emotional maturity practice, and leadership to her clients. She has experience with a wide range of modalities and practices, and this is really important. And they range from psychology, energy healing, mindfulness-based, stress reduction, relationship theory, neurolinguistics, and solution-focused coaching. While that is a wealth of knowledge, so please help me in welcoming Kimberly Hill. Hi, Kimberly.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're so glad you're here. I love talking. I get sometimes, well, why do you have other coaches on? It doesn't interrupt your business, da da da. And I'm like, no way. It's just, there are so many things to talk about. We can't all be experts in everything. You have a fantastic wealth of knowledge, and you have all these modalities, which is super, super important because, when you and I were talking, but before this, we talked about having those, looking at things from a holistic approach, which we do here and appreciate that you do as well. So having all those modalities is huge. So start us off just sharing a little bit about why, a little bit about yourself, but then also why in the heck would you start coaching men, dating particularly? Like, wow.
Yeah, it's a fair question. I'm going to give you like the abridged version of how I landed in this fun position. But before I even got into the coaching realm, going even before my big career, I was born in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So this is where I'm from. I'm Canadian. And I think it was when I was maybe 20 years old, I decided to take a break from uni. I was studying business there, and I wanted to do the whole overseas backpacking trip. Like, I was single, I was young, I was free, and I wanted to go travel. And so my girlfriend and I booked a one-way ticket to Bangkok, Thailand. And I didn't come home for 10 years. So
wow.
I intended to go for a few months. Ended up being 10 years, which led me into a career working in financial derivatives. And that's a very masculine dominated industry. I was one of the only females working in my office in Sydney, Australia. And when I moved up to work with the same firm in Singapore, same thing. So I worked with men for the bulk of my career. I've hired them, fired them, worked alongside them, traveled with them, reported to them, you name it. So I got really comfortable working around men and their energies, and also just witnessing what they go through on a day-to-day basis, having a very high-powered job. These men that I work with were brokers, dealing with investment bankers, money, stress, lots of drinking, lots of going out with clients. But they, at the same time, were trying to manage their relationships. And they found that I was like a source of comfort for them. So a lot of them would just share what was going on in their lives with me. And they felt really comfortable opening up to me. And that kind of like trickled into this idea where I realized that maybe I should be in a different field. And our firm was, working in finance. There's lots of perks being in a big interdealer broker. So our CEO actually hired a coach to be made available to the employees. And I was one of the first ones to raise my hand and say, free help, free support, like I'll take it. I've got lots of problems.
Right, we all do.
Yeah. I'm like, someone's gonna like help me and listen to like what's going on in my life. So I ended up seeing this gentleman for at least a year, a good portion of time when I was working in Sydney, and he continued to coach and support me when I moved up to Singapore. And, I guess no two story is the same, but a lot of people end up having these aha moments where I realized that I wanted to switch careers and I wanted to get into a more supportive role. I felt I was really good at that. So I packed it in and I left my career. I left my relationship at the time. I left my friends behind. I packed my stuff and I moved back to Vancouver, BC, and started the journey of becoming a coach. That started off by, going to an international school and getting qualified in coaching, and then building a brand and starting a business. And then, Jude, I started coaching women. I just thought woman power, empowerment. I'm going to coach women to do better in confidence and in their lives and in relationships. And very quickly, I realized that my skill was actually in supporting men. That's what I had been doing for 10 years prior. So in an indirect way anyway. So I worked with a couple business coaches and really focused in on what I was very good at naturally, and went and got all the qualifications. And now I've been running this business for a couple of years, and I've had this awesome privilege of working with awesome men from around the world and supporting them in an area that's super important to them. So that's what's led me here.
That is fantastic. That is a huge diversion from financial derivatives.
Not a lot of people can say that, right?
Well, I'm just curious because you mentioned the energies around men and high-powered men in the financial services, and you being involved in that. And we talk about in the show often here the differences, right? The differences between masculine and feminine energy, which is a good thing, right? That doesn't mean that's not bad. It doesn't mean, and we all have some parts of the other as well. So do you find now working in your in a industry that might be more in alignment with a feminine energy, that you feel more comfortable than you did in the financial services industry? Or are you able, or do you pay attention to like the differences of how you feel on an everyday basis?
Yes, I do. I'm very well versed with masculine, feminine energy, and it's not a gender specific thing, because in order to do well in finance, I was very tapped into that masculine energy. I was very assertive. I couldn't take no BS from the boys. I had to find a way to get up on those trading floors. And sure, would some of them just gawk at me because I'm in a skirt? Absolutely. But then when I sat down and actually talked to them about a trading system, I then there was no flirting going on. It was straight to the important stuff. So I totally understand. And I actually am very good at tapping into that masculine energy. I'm a Virgo too. If anyone follows astrology, Virgo's a perfectionist. We want to high achievers, go, go, go. But yes, in this role, I get to do a lot of both. There's an element of that masculine energy with clients where I need to be assertive with them. I need to stop them and interrupt them on occasion. And I call them out on their BS as well. But on the other hand, they also get that nurturing, feminine, compassionate, loving, soft side from me too. And I think a lot of men need that after being traumatized or hurt by women in their lives too. So
sure. And I asked that question to highlight the fact that you understand the differences, because the process for going through divorce for men is much different, as I'm sure you know, and having worked with some men that go through divorce or are going through divorce, and having that having the understanding of that, in addition to the coaching philosophy, which is a lot different than therapy. And not saying that there's anything wrong with therapy. There's not. It's actually beneficial, but coaching is I would describe a more masculine philosophy around how to get a result that you want.
Action oriented.
Actually, exactly, action oriented, which is a masculine trait,
100%.
right? And we want to, and so that plays into our masculine nature as men to wanting to, be action oriented, do something, resolve something, fix something, if it's a broken relationship or a divorce, and then have a direction, where you're going, and build on that. So that's incredibly fantastic that you know that, because a lot of times, and this was my experience, and I hear a lot of time from men, and you may or may not hear this, I don't know, if you feel free to chime in, that the therapy thing is just not, there's not enough. It's just talk, right? It's just very that's more of around a feminine energy, right? Talking about things. Again, that's a good thing. There's positives to that too, right? And I believe that coaching and therapy combined together is probably like the best possible thing
powerhouse
you could possibly do. But that that seems to be a challenge with men sometimes, is just the talk therapy and not having some action around that. So I just want to point that out to everybody listening, because it's phenomenal that you have the background, that you understand that. So anyway, now that we've gotten way off of topic, let's talk about how dads can date with kids, because that in itself is a whole different dynamic of being out there once you've done the work. And we're just gonna assume here that they've like done some work, right? That they've taken that, but maybe you can talk to that point first, like to the point of what should happen before you decide to start dating with kids.
Sure. Well, two things come to mind right off the bat. One, disclosure, and two, boundaries. So, I mean, if men are going to date and they do have children, there's nothing wrong with disclosing that to the women you're dating. I mean, they're going to want to know. It's part of your life and you should be proud of it. Secondly, boundaries. So what does actually dating look like with kids? What are the boundaries around it? Are you going out every night of the week and your kids are at home? Are your kids even at your home? Like, understanding how it's going to impact you and having some careful thought around that before you actually go out on the market. If you do meet a woman who wants to go on a date, well, what does that look like? Right? So for me, it's like, don't just put yourself out there and have no strategy or no idea what you're doing. A lot of people do that and they get into trouble.
Right.
Spend some time like carefully considering what it's going to look like dating with kids. What age are they? How is it going to impact them? Are you going to bring every woman home? Right? Or is there going to be a time frame on which it's actually makes sense for you to introduce the woman you're dating to your kids? Like, we need to think about these things ahead of time. So those are the first things that come to mind.
Yeah, that's huge. Now, do you find that men are not forthright with the fact that they have children sometimes, or divorced dads that don't have children? Because I don't know about like any of the other men, but it's pretty hard for me to hide them like in the cupboard or anything, because they're pretty noisy. And they're running around the house all the time, and like, I'm on the phone and they're screaming and yelling, so it's pretty hard.
Totally. That's hilarious. No, hide them in the cupboard for sure. I think it's more like men are insecure about when they should share it. Do I put it on my dating profile or do I not? And are women going to judge me because I have children? Like, I had a former client who had 8 kids.
Wow.
Okay, 8 of them, right? And he's single and he's dating. He has 8 kids. So he's going through 8 times the amount of who on this planet is going to want to date me. I have 8 children to look after, right? And he's going through this whole, like, is it even worth it? Am I ever going to find someone that like can accept me for who I am? And heck yeah, you can, because he's an amazing guy who just happens to have a lot of kids.
Right. So
it's understanding what that looks like. So disclosing it doesn't have to necessarily be on your profile or even on the first date. Like, get to know someone that you're dating, but what is that going to look like? So I have another client that I've been working with. And he has 2 children and he's starting to date again. And I can't remember the exact time frame now, but it's taken him maybe 7 months before he's introduced this woman to his kids. And before he introduced her to his kids, he had a separate conversation with each one of his children to let them know where he's at with everything and how he's feeling, and that he's going to be bringing someone home. And he checked in with how they're feeling about the whole situation, because it's really important to also, whilst you're putting yourself out there and dating and having these experiences, to be mindful of the impact it's having on your kids, and be mindful of the boundaries and relationship that's going on there. So
yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute, because I feel like that falls into what you talked about with setting up the boundaries of what and developing what it is that you want to accomplish in dating. And that might be different for different people listening, depending upon where they're at right now, because you can be out there dating and just dating to start to build relation again, right? To get used to, because some of us were married for decades, and things are a lot different from from when some of us old guys were dating.
How do you even date?
Way back before cell like phones and apps and all. We used to have to call each other, right? And we used to have to actually look a woman in the eyes and ask her out on a date and say, would you like to go out, and get rejected 100 times, and then have to deal with that, which is all good stuff, right? But things have things have changed and are different now. So part of that, would you say, in talking to your kids could be also in creating that plan, even if you are just dating, saying something to the effect like, daddy's dating again, this is what dating is? Because what I found, at least with my kids, and I love your feedback on this, is it gave me an opportunity to really communicate to them what I was doing. And really, it was an opportunity that I otherwise would not have been given to them. And I have 3 girls, so I think it's very important that they know how dating is supposed to happen. But it was an opportunity for me that if I stayed married, like, I wouldn't be able to explain, like, this is what dating is, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is why you might be with a babysitter for some nights, or this is why that I might be out some days. Talk about that for a sec.
Well, yeah, I think you're bang on there. I think having open, honest, vulnerable conversations with your kids is really important. My client basically has weeknights where he's at home and he's with the kids, and he kind of committed to saying to himself, well, on weekends is when I will go on these dates. So he had some boundary around it. He made sure that his kids were a priority, but he also made sure he was a priority, right? So it's not about just bending to the will of your kids all the time. You also have to say, like, my happiness is important, and so I'm going to dedicate these days to actually going on dates and hoping that works quite smoothly with the people that you are meeting, and being honest about that. So depending on how old your kids are, having that conversation around, this is what dad is doing, this is what it means to me, it's really important that you support me in this, this is what it might look like moving forward. And also men thinking about, especially if you are getting on dating apps and haven't been on dating apps, like, or maybe you've never been on them, or you're getting on them for the first time in a long time, they are really addicting. And so understanding, like, the impact that's going to have on you too, where let's say you're having a family night with your kids at home and Tinder or Bumble or Hinge is going off, like, are you going to divert your attention from your kids to dating apps? Are you going to allow yourself to do that? Or are you going to have some strong boundaries around how you use that, for example? So 100% having those just honest conversation. It's not just about telling your kids what you're doing, but also asking them how it impacts them and how it makes them feel.
Right. There was a lot that you just said right there. I want to, so the first thing I want to point out that you said, which I feel like is a huge revelation for some men, especially when they start the dating, is that by demonstrating that you are doing something that you like, that's self-care, and that's modeling good behavior for them. And oftentimes, and I know this was my case, was feeling guilty about going out or doing something because it's taking away time, but
Yeah.
really what it's doing is it's showing that you need to take care of these things, and hopefully you're doing the other things, exercising, eating right, doing the holistic approach to your life, that they see all of those things as well. But this is really also about doing stuff that you need, and that demonstrates self-care
Yeah.
to them, and that's a positive
It's
thing.
modeling proper behavior as well. Like, let's be honest, we want to raise our kids and tell them that um, they don't want to be doing things for other people all of the time, right? They also need to take steps or take actions that make them feel good, that putting themselves first is not a selfish thing. And so by dad going out and dating and saying, hey, I'm going to spend these nights with you, but this is dad's night to do whatever it might be, whether it's dating or catching up with buddies or going fishing or going to the gym, it doesn't matter. It's saying, I value myself as well. And that's why I have boundaries and balance around my life. It's not just about kids. I mean, the statistics show that in relationships, couples will reach their lowest level of satisfaction after their first kid. Why? Because it becomes all about the kid and less about the relationship. And that's a statistic from the Gottman Institute, right? It's not something I just made up. It shows that lowest levels are after the first child. And I get it. What the heck are we doing? Like, sleep patterns are off, like babies crying, like jobs are probably changing. It's like the couple aren't actually prioritizing their relationship. What happened to date night and intimacy, right?
Right.
So making sure we have that healthy balance in our lives. My kids are a priority, but so am I.
Yeah, and just like that first child coming, that's an adjustment, right? That's an adjustment in your life. That's a big change that you needed to figure out and work through. Yeah. And just like now, being divorced or having gotten a divorce and then now getting back into dating, that's going to be another adjustment. And so the other thing I wanted to point out that you said was figuring out when you're going to do it, like creating that availability to do it, because and I see this on both sides of the spectrum, like, oh, I'm going to go date, but you have like no plan. And with kids, you just can't do it.
Oh, you need to have some element.
You gotta know, well, you've got to know when you're going to do it, right? Like, so maybe it's like Wednesday nights, I'm, have a babysitter, or it's going to be like your client, the weekends, I'm going to go out on a Friday or Saturday, or both nights, or whatever. Like, have a plan around how you're going to do this, because if you do meet somebody that you want to spend more time with, then you cannot cultivate a relationship without spending time with them. So
then you can say to the woman you're dating, like, hey, it's really lovely getting to know you. This is kind of when I'm available to meet you, and I'm happy to plan dates around that, but being like forthright and upright, like letting her know when she can or cannot see you. And it's important, because you're right. If you just get on dating apps and you don't have a plan, and you're getting asked out on a Thursday night, or you want to try and coordinate something, then it becomes really chaotic. And then let's be honest, it's probably going to feel too complicated, and you're going to back away from it, right? Yeah,
right. And that's the experience I see with a lot of men that get on the dating apps right away. It is a huge time suck.
Yeah,
it's a huge time suck, and I've had this discussion lots of times. It's a numbers game. It's not a fan. Well, I'm not going to make any statements, because we've already done one podcast or a couple of podcasts on this dating app. So go check it out. We talk about a lot of that stuff, and maybe you can come back and we can talk about this too. But what, to your other point about that is I'd like you to talk about being conscientious about putting together and expectations around how you're going to do that, but also what you want to get out of dating. Right. I just alluded to, like, maybe it's just to get to know people, or maybe it's just dating without any specific, strings, or maybe it is you're looking for a long-term relationship. Speak to how men can like really plan around that, because if you don't, and this is what I did for a long time, is you're going to waste a whole buttload of time. And I don't know, like, when the kids want to come out of the cupboard and they want to do stuff, then, you don't have a lot of time. If you got just one kid, but if you have 3 or 4 or 8, oh my God, I can't even imagine. Like, you don't have a lot of time. So you would kind of want to maximize what you are getting done.
And that's a question I can't answer, but the men that are approaching dating can, is asking themselves, what is my intention with dating? Am I going out because I want to reconnect and I want to make some awesome connections that maybe lead to something? And I'm just kind of like in that first phase of trying out. Be honest with that. If you're literally saying, I am ready and I'm looking for like my person, and you're on there with that intention, be honest about that. I always say, and there's lots of ways to pick up women. There's lots of ways to date. Online is not the only way. And I would never say put 100% of your effort online. You gotta also be meeting people in real life situations. But I do talk to men about how to structure their profiles so that it's showing their authentic purpose with dating, right? If you're on there and you are genuinely looking for something casual, then it's important to, you don't have to put it in your profile, but you want to share with women like, hey, I'm dating again. This is a new experience for me. Like, I'm really enjoying your company, but I'm not looking for something serious right now.
Yeah.
You got to be honest, right? Because there are people on there that are.
Right. Well, and communicate that.
Yeah.
Like, just communicate it, because you'd be surprised how many other people and women are thinking the same thing, right? Just like, I'm just testing the waters in here, and I'm just trying to.
Gun shy.
Yeah.
Like, you just been divorced. Like, you're not wanting to jump into marriage again, right? So there's a lot of people that are dating and they're not really sure yet. They're gun shy. They're not jumping straight into the next commitment and then having their heart broken again. So there is a little element of, well, what does that look like for you, and what kind of experience do you want to have on there, and what are your values?
Right there, that would be even a great question, right? Like a great conversation question. What are you looking for, and what is it you want to do? And like, that kind of just puts it out in the open.
Yeah, I've had that asked when I was on dating apps before I met my partner. I got asked a lot, like, what are you on here for? And I'm like, I'm looking for a special someone, but I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
Right. And I was being honest. And if that didn't vibe with someone, well, I probably never heard from them again. I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, they're saving me time, to be honest. Like, rejection is part of it. So there's also an element of like having reasonable expectations of what you're going to expect when you start dating again, because it's not going to be like when you dated 10 years ago or 20 years ago. It's going to be a different experience. So what are your expectations around it? Because if you come in with high expectations, that is going to be like a magical experience. It's not going to be.
No way. Dating's not a magical experience. Are you kidding? That's going to be the quote for me. That's going to be your quote for this episode, Kimberly Hill. Dating is not a magical experience.
A little indifference goes a long way. But the truth is, if you're expecting it to be all amazing experiences, you probably are going to be let down. The truth is, online dating comes with its advantages and disadvantages. I believe, this is my opinion, that the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. So I think that people should be open-minded and be on dating apps, because I've met my partner there. I know plenty of people that have genuine relationships that I've met online. And again, it has lots of advantages. But there's also the frustrating side. If you're not used to it, you don't know how to necessarily to talk to women on there, and you might go on without that knowledge. Your first round of experience might frustrate you or make you feel like it's not for you, when in reality, it's just that the landscape has changed a little bit. And maybe it's time to just get a little bit of support so you can go on there and understand how you want to use it for yourself. So yeah, definitely use it as a tool, but maybe like one of the lesser tools. That's my advice. That's my experience. And so, but again, it's one tool with many. Like, I end up coaching a lot of men on how to approach women in public, because it's a social skill that we're losing, right? Well, exactly. Which can be more effective if you're wanting to have an impression and you're wanting to actually relate with somebody and be authentic with somebody. Doing it face to face is so much easier and faster than cutting through all the dating app kind of mess that goes on with that. Yeah, that's true. Can be if you are if you work on
making that effort to figure out how to do that and relate to people. So definitely. So let's talk about, I'd love your input on then once you start to refine what we just talked about, or what you just suggested, which is be intentional about it, find time to do it, be open and communicative about what you're wanting. But how about, because kind of the theme that I'm talking about here is dating with dads, is that we just don't have a lot of time. And so if you're wanting to have these intentions, then you got to be real specific about it. Can you talk about like defining what it is in a woman and a process for doing that, right? Because especially if you get online, right, you could find 5 million people, women across the world, literally.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, if you're not really, if you don't have an idea of what the values are, what you're looking for, what the criteria might be, does you have children, not children, age range, religion, whatever it might be.
This
Talk
comes
about
down
that.
to values, which I do with probably every single client I work with, where we understand, well, number one, what you're not looking for. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of that right away. And number two, what you are looking for. So there's lots of different exercises that we can do to get that clarity. But of course, we need to know what we're not going to tolerate first and foremost. So people are going to have non-negotiables. And it's important to address those and highlight them up front, because if you see someone with a non-negotiable right away, move on. For example, if you already have children, but you're open to having more, and you match with a woman who's definite no on that, then maybe that's a non-negotiable for you. Maybe you are looking for someone that's open to having more of an extended family, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe you've already got 4 kids and it's just not in the bag for you. You just don't want that. So you need to know that, because you don't want to be matching with women that want children and you don't. That's a huge values mismatch. If you think you're going to change each other's mind, you're not going to. So we need to identify like what we can take out of the dating pool to begin with. And that could be things like value-based differences, or it could be behavior we won't tolerate. Like maybe men are not going to date women that are only interested in men that finance their lives, right? They just gone through divorce. They probably have lost a lot of money in the divorce, and they don't want to be dating women that are only interested in like sugar daddies, for example. So you got to know what you don't want. And then of course you get clear on what you are looking for, which is what we talked about before, that intentionality with dating. Is it something casual? Is it something more? Do you want kids or not? Are you willing to relocate or not? Do you smoke or not? Are you into a healthy lifestyle and she's not? Like, you've got to understand what you are looking for, because the truth is we want to date someone that has the same values as us and also has some commonalities, because I'm guessing that if you're going to date again, you want to be having a lot of fun. So figure out what it is that you are looking for. And that's,
you want it to be semi-magical.
Semi-magical.
Make your dating with dad or dating with kids semi-magical. That might be the title of this episode.
Well, I love to be real. I provide real support and guidance. The last thing I'm going to do is say, hey, come coach with whoever, myself or another coach, and we're going to make sure that your entire experience is magical. Like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to be that way. Like, even for the most attractive man or woman, doesn't work out that way. Before I met Andrew, and I met him on Tinder, and he super liked me. So there's a little.
Oh wow, he knew right away. Super Tinder.
If there's someone you're interested in, sure, pay for a couple blue stars. It will cause someone to maybe stop for that extra second, which can work in your advantage. But before I met Andrew, I went on a couple dates with guys, and it wasn't magical. I'm sorry, but it just wasn't.
Yeah, that's a whole nother episode. Non-magical dates from online dating. So,
but this is real, dude. Too. It's like,
oh my!
We don't want to be.
Let me tell you, it's so real that sometimes you're like, I don't think it's real. I think it's the Twilight Zone. But like, did that really happen? Am I getting punked here? Is Ashton Kutcher going to come out of the, from behind somewhere? Some of it is just really out there, but it's good stories, right? And it's still experience, which is what we're wanting to do when we get back into to this
Yeah,
again. And let's, maybe we can finish up with that a little bit, is that it takes, just like anything else, practice,
for sure it
right?
does. Yeah.
Right. So, I get when I hear, oh, it's exhausting, or it's just so many more disappointments, or so many first dates, and da 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 da. But really, like, did you get good at your job doing it once or twice or three times? Did you get good at sports? Did you develop your physical health just by going to the gym once or twice or three times? The answer is no.
Yeah,
So if you want to get a healthy relationship, it takes time and it takes trying. So
for sure. Yeah, exactly. You've nailed it there. Like, there are people that will get on apps or go and date again, and they might actually meet someone they're really compatible with in weeks, right? And there are other people where it takes longer because what you're looking for, or where you live, or what your preferences are, and that's totally okay. I think maybe the biggest point to make here is, what mindset are you bringing into it? Because if you bring in a negative mindset, I'm not worthy, I'm not going to find someone, people don't match online in my city, no one's going to want to date me with these kids, I have an ex-wife who's crazy, right? Or I don't know how to, she's going to ruin my whole experience. If you go in with that mindset, guess what experience you're going to get? You're going to get a negative experience. But if you go in with reasonable expectations, you go in with a healthy mindset, you have an idea of what you're doing, your experience is going to be a lot better. So really understanding how you approach dating. I say it over and over on my podcast, on my Instagram, wherever I often post, 6 reasons why you might struggle with dating. And the biggest point is you have a bad attitude. If you have a bad attitude, you're going to have a bad experience.
It's not going to be magical for sure.
No, it's not going to be magical.
It's not going to be magical.
Lastly, the other point, which I think is really important too, is especially for men that have been in very, very long-term relationships that are no longer connected to that partner, is probably, before you even get on a dating app, is really understanding, who the heck are you? What is your identity that you are no longer connected to someone else, because you're not the husband of, right? You are Jude or John or Mike or Joel or whoever you are. Who are you, and what do you enjoy, and what brings you fulfillment and enjoyment in your life right now? Because you need to know who you are before you date.
Right. There's a great resource out there for men, actually for men and women, written by the same author, Sean Smith. He's a clinical psychologist here in Denver, Colorado, and he's written a book for men and for women. And the book for men is The Tactical Guide to Women.
There you go.
And it's great. But the reason I bring that up is that first half of the book is what you just described, like know who you are, know what you want, going through that whole process. And then he wrote The Practical Guide to Men for the women. And there's some of the same points, just from a female perspective as well. So let's briefly review some of the tips we gave the divorced dads dating with children, and how they can maximize doing the dating and have it be semi-magical. And I think we need to start like a Disney dating site now to like make it more magical, Kimberly, because it's a little depressing, and we want to make it Disney-esque. So.
No, like, come on, it's not going to be magic, but let's be real. Like, it's the reality of dating 2021, right?
Right. So our practical reality tips are: be open up front about stuff, that you have kids. Don't try to hide them.
Yeah, be proud of it.
Yeah, don't pretend that you don't have them, and communicate the process with them, because that's also another thing. You don't want to be hiding that you're dating. It just doesn't make sense. It's actually an opportunity that you can share with the kids. Set your boundaries around what you're doing, how you're doing it, carve
How
out the
much time?
time,
Yeah.
how much
Mhm.
time, how, how you're doing it, whether you're doing it online, whether you're doing it in person,
Yeah, what kind
how
of
you're,
dates you want to have too? Like,
yeah,
you're not going to be taking every woman for a very expensive dinner necessarily. So what kind of dates do you want to have?
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then define what it is that you want to, your intentions around it.
Yeah.
Right. And then what was the last one we just
We
said?
talked about, yeah, getting clear on what you are looking for and also know your non-negotiables so that you do
Yeah.
weed out matches that aren't going to be fulfilling or helpful for you. Yeah.
Right. Maybe write a list of what you're
Oh,
looking for. Lists
yeah.
are good. I love lists. Lists,
The freebie download that we've got for your guests has a perfect worksheet in there where I help men understand what their deal breakers are, and also a little bit of a worksheet there on value-based characteristics that they would be looking for, which is helpful to get that clarity.
awesome. And then the last part is practice. Like get out
Practice
there, practice,
and also know who you are. Yeah.
and know who you are. Cool. So tell us about the freebie that you've got for everybody listening, and then also tell us how anybody who's listening can get a hold of you and connect.
Yeah, of course. So the download, I actually created a big long handbook. It's called the Dating Handbook for Men, but inside it's full of lots of dating secrets for men, mistakes that men make and how to overcome them so you don't get back out there and start making these common mistakes. If you do, you're not alone, right? A lot of guys are making them. So the handbook talks about how to overcome that. Also talks about this masculine feminine polarity and sexual attraction, what women are really looking for. And spoiler alert, it's not a big house and tons of money and a fancy watch. It's, it's things that are more inner characteristics. And there's also some really helpful worksheets there to help men get that clarity too. So what are your non-negotiables? And also what are you really looking for when it comes to value-based characteristics, so that when you get out there and start dating, you have a pretty clear idea of what you are doing and what you're looking for. So I think the link's going to be in the podcast for anyone to grab that. And to reach out to me, you can find me on, of course, on Instagram, my social media. It's just at Kimberly Nina Hill. I'm in my DMs there often. So if you do want to connect and you have a question, just feel free to directly message me. Like, it is me and I will respond to you. So that's always a great way to start a conversation too. My email and other social media and links are on there. So it's probably the best source to find and connect with me.
Okay. And is there a website?
Oh yeah, of course. My website too, KimberlyNinaHill.com. So you can learn more about my process and read testimonials up there. But mainly people find me on Instagram, and through there I have that Linktree bio, which kind of gives you access to everywhere else that I am: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, my website, the freebie downloads, a workshop I'm hosting on September 17th. So lots of choices for people there.
Okay, awesome. So if you found some value today, go check that out. Download Kimberly's semi-magical guide, dating secrets for men. Dating secrets for men that will make your experience semi-magical. How's that? Download that.
It's better than making it like a pile of crap, right?
Exactly. And go check out the Instagram. If you found value in this, subscribe, share it, leave a comment, and most importantly, share it with somebody else that that helps us immensely. Kimberly Hill, thank you so much today. I appreciate, and I know everybody listening appreciates all of your pearls of wisdom.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Take care.